Good morning, Rabbit Freaks. Lexi Odds here. Tuesday morning. It's time for Classic Jurassic Tuesday Trivia. And because of last night's amazing events, we're going to do somebody who's connected to the sweep last night. The father of the Denver Nuggets coach, Brandon Malone, the original Raptors coach. We had his dad as our coach the very first year we were a team in franchise history as an expansion team. Brandon Malone was our first coach, the father of Michael Malone, the coach of the Denver Nuggets, who was very, very successful in beating the Los Angeles Lakers last night in a sweep to the point where couple chain reaction things are happening. Now LeBron is contemplating retiring this summer. It's kind of telling when Carmelo retires yesterday and he's the last guy other than him from his draft class. LeBron starts to realize, holy crap, Carmelo's gone now. So things are really interesting in some ways. The Lakers had a good season. It's amazing what they did, honestly. In some ways, I'm really amazed that they got this far in the playoffs. So, we'll see how bad a dumpster fire they are in their fan nation as far as people calling for heads and trying to get people gone. Magic's already saying, do not fire Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham is a good coach. We need Darvin Ham on our team. But we'll see if the Laker Nation has an overreaction because of their sweep last night. Fantastic job by the Nuggets. LeBron came out and he was crazy in the beginning of the game, scoring 21 points right in the first quarter, just dominating, getting the Lakers a good, nice, big lead. But you see how when you depend on just a few guys to really carry the team and they're tired by the end of the game, and there's more of a team effort on the other side, carrying and different people carrying, then boom, all of a sudden you see an equal kind of effort from the other team, and it all adds up, and they have more stamina and they have more juice, and then boom, they win a close game by 2 points, coming back, even though they were down by big earlier on. So fantastic job, Denver, getting the sweep. Now let's see if we can get the second sweep tonight with the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics in Miami tonight. Let me just do the refs real quick. Scott Foster, he's switched from LA the last series, and now he's back in Miami for this game tonight as the crew chief. Scott Foster is going to be out there running things. John Goebel from Miami will be the second ref, and Courtney Kirkland is the third ref. Those are your refs on the court. Dick Bookert is the alternate. Scott Foster favors the Miami Heat, guys. He does actually statistically favor the Miami Heat. Historically, John Goebel, even though he's from Miami, he does favor the Celtics. And then Courtney Kirkland, he favors the Celtics also. So we have two referees that historically favor Boston over Miami. And then we've got Scott Foster, who favors the Miami Heat over the Boston Celtics. So maybe Celtics fans are going to hate Scott Foster by the end of the night. Who knows? So there's your ref crew. For the playoff game tonight, the ability for the Miami Heat to sweep out the Boston Celtics tonight, that is very interesting. Of course, a lot of what happens tonight may really hinge on whether Coach Joe Mazzulla has got the Celtics and his trust at this point. It may have been shattered, and it may carry over into this game, the performance from game 3. So we could very well see Boston still rolling over and just letting Miami just kick their ass. We'll have to see if they have any pride, if they have any fight for Coach Joe's job, because in some ways the game tonight is really very much to save their coach's job. All right, let me check in the comments, and we'll get into the trivia very soon. Tom Duke's first in. Good morning and good topic, Lex. Brendan is a huge Nuggets fan. I would think so. I would think that Brendan Malone is a Nuggets fan, and he's very happy about his son's accomplishment last night. In fact, his son has gone way far and beyond him in his head coaching career. So in a lot of ways, yeah, I bet you he's a very proud dad right now. Tom Duke's saying, I'm guessing he's a Nuggets fan. I would hope so. I think he is. We'll find out more about him today in the trivia. Let's not go too deep on Brendan Malone right now. Tom Duke saying, also, I'm happy Nashty is in the discussion. I bet it wasn't his fault at all in Brooklyn. All right. I'm glad Tom is the guy who's bringing up the subject du jour from yesterday about the coaching search for the Raptors, that we have a new name that has been interviewed. It has been officially said that Steve Nash, Canadian hero, greatest basketball player from Canada ever, two-time NBA MVP, and a classmate of Tom Duke's from high school back in the day. I'm glad Tom's bringing it up in our chat. Yes, we have interviewed Steve Nash. Now, I look at this in a couple of different ways. I like Steve. I met Steve too in real life, and he's a really cool dude. I got to hang out with him multiple times in the early 2000s, and he's just a really, really nice guy. Really, really good dude all around. But regardless of how I feel about him as a person, regardless of how I feel about him as a basketball player when he played in his career, 18-year career, I don't want him to be the coach of the Raptors next. That the I could very well be. You're right, Tom. That Kevin, Kyrie, James, Ben Simmons, all these clowns, they caused a lot of trouble for him with his career as a coach, and it was just a bad situation, and he looked bad from it. But in some ways, I saw enough of him on the court. He has a good win percentage. I've added him to the coach's spreadsheet, and he has some good attributes about him. He won at like 58% of his games, and that's pretty good for only 2 years and just a bit of change. But in some ways, I don't want to be that team. People are already making fun of the idea of him coming to coach us, the rest of the league. And it's not that I care about that, but he has a lot of baggage. He has a lot of baggage from his experience with the Nets. And I don't necessarily want to be the next stop after this. He may need to go do something else and be involved in coaching, maybe as an assistant or something like that somewhere else, and then circle back. And I'd feel more comfortable about being him a head coach. But at this point, with so much kind of risky in our place with what's going on with our franchise, I don't necessarily think Steve's the right hire right now. He's way better than JJ Redick for sure. But in some ways, he's kind of in that category for me. Is like, this is cool. We'll interview him, but I hope you guys aren't serious, is basically what I'm saying. So I don't know what'll happen with this. It's kind of cool that he's interviewing, but in some ways, I don't want him to be the head coach. I don't want him to be the one in charge. Some other people are saying, can we make him an assistant coach? Can he be associate head coach? Like, kind of like, if even we had Adrian Griffin and Steve was working next to him or something like that. I don't know. I worry about Steve's demeanor because he is a really nice guy. And sometimes, that can get pushed over. And I don't want, I want a fighter. I want somebody in there that's going to be an asshole and can be very like stubborn and kind of a jerk. And sometimes Steve just doesn't have that in him. Like it's just not in his character as a person in general. He's a very conscientious, sensitive, nice guy. And when I see him operate on the court, on the sideline as a coach of the Brooklyn Nets, he didn't give me the impression that he's fighting that fight in the way that some of these other coaches would, as far as politicking and stuff. So I love Steve. He's always going to be a Canadian legend, but I don't think, first of all, I don't know if he really likes Toronto. First of all, in some ways, he doesn't like the city of Toronto. I've talked to him personally about it. He's a West Coast Canadian guy, and he's not really into the city of Toronto. Let's just put it that way. It's not the fans, and it's not anything like that. I don't know what it is because I asked him. He's like, "Would you want to play for Toronto?" He said, "No, I would not want to play for the Raptors." I asked him personally that, like around 2000. And he said he doesn't want to play for Toronto in his career. And that's before he got the 2 MVPs. So I don't know if he'd want to coach us either. Although if he showed up for the interview, maybe that does mean that. I don't know. It's such a weird situation. Once again, we can interview all the people in the world. That's fine. But we need to find the right candidate, Messiah, Bob and Bobby. Yeah. Nako's here. Good to see Nako the Nacho. The Nuggets weren't doing great at first quarter. LeBron deserves respect for at least the first half. Now let's go Heat. Complete that sweep. There you go, Gerald. I love this. Our agenda is to be haters to the storied 17 championship franchise is almost complete. We would like to see the Boston Celtics follow the Lakers right on out of the playoffs tonight. And you go and do that, Jimmy and Kyle and Bam. You guys have got yourself in the driver's seat. Spoelstra smells blood. He wants you to finish them. Don't mess with your food. You need to just go ahead and finish Boston because some Celtics fans are trying to write scripts for how they can still come back and win this series by still winning 4 straight. That is ridiculous thinking. But yeah, I'm with you, Nako. Let's see what happens. And yeah, listen, I've said often, and this happened with Michael, this happened with Kobe. I will hate on y'all while you're playing, but once you retire, I will honor the hell out of y'all. and talk the greatness and how great you are. You're the enemy and you're actively the enemy still, LeBron. I will talk trash about you. But when you retire and you're done, I will laud you. I will talk about how great he is and all this kind of stuff. That's just how I do it. I did it to Michael the same way. I was a hater of Michael the whole time he's playing, but you hear how I stand up for him now against my LeBron. So that's how it works. I did not like Kobe either, but then he retired, and I was like, I really respect and honor Kobe's legacy and his place in the history of in the NBA. And then when he died, I was like even more like respectful and like, holy crap, Kobe is one of the greatest players ever. And in some ways, I really love him and I miss him, even though I didn't really like him when he played. So it's a similar kind of thing. When LeBron walks off in the sunset, he will get more glowing words from my mouth. It's just it's too much like this right now. And I love all the stuff people are putting on Twitter today of Jamal Murray, a little kid wearing the Raptors jersey, talking about like how this little young man was terrorized by LeBron with LeBronto in Cleveland as a child. And now he's getting a little bit of get back and healing some of his trauma as a Raptors fan when he was a little kid from LeBronto years. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That may be very well true that Jamal Murray in some ways is doing some of his work for the Nuggets on the side for the Raptors in his history from being from Canada in Kitchener. So yeah, good stuff. Mike's here. Salute the Real Ones Project Truth Always. I heard the Last Dance film crew was following Braun all season, and the ending clearly ain't the same. Yeah, I did hear that recently too. That's fantastic. If they make another whole series, just like they did The Last Dance for Michael Jordan, go for it. Do it. We need to chronicle and archive all these greats and have this kind of stuff out there. If you can do the same treatment to LeBron that you did for Michael, that will be fantastic. And that will be very entertaining. It'll be very different, but it will be very entertaining, I'm sure. Race Mode Daily's here. Good morning, Edmund. Good to see you. Good morning, freaks. I'm not a LeBron fan, but it's sad to see the Lakers go down on a sweep. Let's go, Kyle Lowry. I don't know if it's sad to me. To me, it is exactly how it should be. A real team beating a team with a superstar. And that's it. Notice I only said one. Notice I only said a superstar. Isaac saying West Coast represent Tom and Steve in the house. Tom and Steve Nash. West Coast Raptors. Yeah, represent. I love it. Tom loves it too. And Cowboy saying, all right, I'm going to not go anymore on the comments for a bit. I'm going to stop at Cowboy. And we're going to resume them. Actually, I need to stop y'all with comments altogether. Remember, y'all, we're doing trivia, and I don't want y'all to really fill it up right away with comments. We can talk about them after the game because I don't want to have to jump back and find your comment place. I want to be able to just get in the trivia. So I don't want too many comments ahead of time. Maybe just one before we start the game from each of y'all, but don't pile on with like 2 or 3 each. And in fact, I figured out why my streams are longer because I gave all y'all wrenches. And none of y'all are on 3-minute, 300-second timing. And that's why my times are longer. So I may have to cut some of the mods, the wrenches back because y'all are commenting too often and frequently. And I want kind of like that buffer of like maybe 3 minutes or 5 minutes between comments instead of just like rapidly commenting over and over again, like 10 of y'all. I figured it out. That's why, of course, they're not on a timer anymore and they can just fill it up like crazy. So really try and comment in good blocks and maybe space them out. And then on days like today, I got to get to the trivia. We're already almost 15 minutes in. I don't want to read comments for like a half an hour or too long in the beginning. Gives too many people time to research. All right, let's see. Cowboy saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Bam. I feel real sorry and sad for LeBron and Lakers Nation. Not. All right, Bradley. I love that. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. One sweep series completed. Let's see the outcome tonight. Nick Nurse coaching team's list is growing. Well, we'll have to see if Coach Joe gets fired. That'll be interesting. I don't know. Is that job the most attractive out of all of them? That's what the NBA and people are going to try and say. The Celtics job is the most attractive of all the open jobs. I don't know. I would argue about that. G saying Scotty and T.O. All the news this morning is about the Lakers and LeBron's future. Must be frustrating as a Nuggets fan. Yeah, whatever. Let them, they're going to get their shine eventually. Watch. They're going to get their shine. It's like Jokic said, do you care about this award that you just got? This Magic Johnson Western Conference MVP award. He said, it means nothing to me. So none of these accolades and things matter to them. They just want to win and kick their asses, and they're going to do that. But it is true. It's kind of annoying. And yes, Scotty is in Toronto. We saw him. He posted a picture of him at OVO working out. And then he was downtown near the CN Tower saying, beautiful weather in Toronto today. So he's come from Talum to Toronto. He's in his T cities this summer. Tallahassee, Talum, and Toronto. He's back in the T dot, baby. That's right, Scotty. Back home with his dog, Cardi, in the Casa Barnes here in Toronto. That's right. Mike Sanji, facts. And it's only really Jokic they're talking about when Murray played extremely well. Look at his series averages. Yeah, well, they don't want to put shine on that team. They're going, ESPN is not what they used to be, and people are complaining about it. They used to be kind of a real journalistic channel that really actually followed like news, ethics, and had like real like we're facts and we're kind of thing. No, they're tabloid. They're kind of cartoony. They're kind of jokey. They're not very serious. They don't really cover like things fairly. They're very, very biased to cover the Lakers and the Celtics overly. And that's part of this phenomenon. It's like ESPN, you're garbage. In some ways, you make the sport cheap. You don't really do the right way. You don't do it like you used to. The quality of ESPN has gone downhill like crazy. It's so disgusting and awful. In fact, some people are making jokes about the difference between the halftime show for TNT broadcast games and the halftime show for ESPN games is night and day. It's like the TNT is so amazing with such great personalities and insight and actually looking at basketball plays. And meanwhile, these idiots at ESPN and their studios are always talking about the tabloid issues, that people, oh, is this person going to do this or this? And they focus so heavily on Boston and the Lakers. So, yeah, it's a joke. ESPN, you're a joke. And if you could get back to more of the Edward R. Morrow School of Journalism, you'd probably be doing better, honestly, because sports fans want like, authentic, real, official kind of feeling journalism and not tabloid stuff you'd see in Teen Vogue. And that's what y'all are like right now. You're like fucking Teen Vogue or something like that. You're some little kids like stupid, like learn about their favorite little pretty boy crush and stuff like that, instead of being real journalists and being like a real news channel. ESPN. Yeah, there you go, burning on them. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. So happy for the Nuggets despite LeBron cleverly deflecting from the sweep and making it about him. Well, that's what he's got to do. It's like, don't stand in the humiliation. Just talk about whether you're going to retire or not. And then everybody will really get on that story. Nameless saying, if the Lakers weren't located in LA, they would get the Charlotte Hornets treatment. Yes, that's kind of where they are with their team in some ways. Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. We were treated to another amazing basketball game last night. Denver is playing winning basketball, and they did win. I love it. Blessings back to you, Randolph. Thank you for coming in. Nameless saying, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said the Raptors brass are just collecting ideas from different candidates from their new selection to use. Maybe. I don't know. I'm getting worried. You hear Milwaukee's narrowed it down to 3 candidates. Nick Nurse, Adrian Griffin, and Kenny Atkinson. It's like they've narrowed it down to like 3, and it's 2 of them are 2 doctors from last year. So it's like, holy crap. Like Milwaukee's saying these are the 3 we're looking at the most right now. And 2 of them were coaches on our staff last year. Oh, man. We're going to have to see what happens. Isaac saying, how could Kyrie, Texas James, and traveling KD be at fault for Brooklyn? Really, Isaac? That is sarcasm. I can read that through there. G saying Butler has a segment where he said when he joined the Bulls, because he was like the 15th player, he didn't practice. His team would call everyone out, including Rose. That's where he learned to be confrontational. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff about Jimmy's career and where he's gotten to at this point and why. You could talk about his time in Minnesota and that big blow up and what he reamed out the whole Timberwolves team at that time. You can talk about the way he was in Philly and what he did there, and then he had to leave, and then he left. There's a lot of interesting Jimmy Butler stories. He's kind of a misunderstood guy. At times, he didn't look like a very nice pro. Could have been a problem kind of guy, but he's come around real nice at this point. Nago says ESPN still thinks the Celtics are favorites. It's jokes. It's pure jokes. I mean, they're a little late on everything, and they're ridiculous, honestly. Like, really, seriously, delusional is what ESPN is. Trevor's saying the referees tried to help the Lakers from getting swept, but Denver wasn't having it. They said to the referees and the Lakers, the great slogan from The Rock, would you smell what Denver is cooking? I love it. Trevor has managed to put the WWE and The Rock in the conversation with this. That's what I was saying. Be so good, Denver, that the refs can't cheat and help the Lakers, and you win anyways. And I think that's what happened a little bit last night. Let's see. Cowboys saying, everyone have a great trivia and got to go later, Lex and Raptorsfreak. Bam. Set your lineup for WNBA fantasy, Bradley. More games tonight, and you want to collect those points. Mike saying Murray puts out Kawhi after leaving, and now Murray swept LeBron for Canada. Canadian giant killer, Jamal Murray. Yeah, that's badass. I like that. And Cool Cat saying Jamal Murray is Canada's revenge. Revenge LeBronto and Revenge Kawhi, both impressive modes. Congrats, Jamal and the Denver Nuggets. I love it. I love it. And Fiercey saying, sorry, Lex, the streams are just too good. We can't resist commenting. It's all good. It's just kind of timing and pacing, and we'll get it all figured out. I should stop griping and let it be. It's just that I'm trying to figure out how to cut down on my times. And Isaac's saying, no more comments, trivia. All right, see, look at Isaac's even putting it in there. All right, here we go. Let's start. All right, our classic Jurassic Tuesday trivia today is on Brendan Malone, the father of Michael Malone, coach of the Denver Nuggets, and also the first ever coach for the Toronto Raptors. So our first question is always the first one. Let's see who gets it. Whoever writes it in first will be the first one to get the points, 25 points, of course. What is Brendan Malone's middle name? All right, I know that y'all don't know this off the top of your head. So either you can guess like names. All right, Tom's getting it. It's Tom's name, Thomas. That's right. Tom should get this one because he is Tom, and the name is Thomas. So we'll give it to Tom. So Tom Duke is getting it. It is Thomas. It is his name. So it's rightfully his. It's like, does that have your name on it? And it's like, Tom's like, yeah, it does. All right, well, this is your property. That's right. Roland, I like that. Brendan Roland Malone. I kind of like that. That's like, yeah, you're also Thomas? Okay, well, Mike Thomas. You're Mike Thomas, though. Are you Thomas Michael? I don't know, Mike. I'm trying to figure out your names here. Thomas Michael, maybe. I don't know. All right, second question. Tom Power. Yeah, I like that. What astrological sign is Brendan Malone? What is his sign? What's your sign, baby? Peace, bro. This is the dawning. It's not that one. Not because I sang the song. What is his astrological sign? Let's see. Capricorn. Ooh, good guess. Aries. Good guess. I like the guesses, and just whoever randomly gets it. Don't look it up. It's not Aries, and it's not Capricorn. Y'all are close, though. Aries is very close. Very, very close, honestly. Leo is not right. Mike, that's a good guess. There we go. Fiercey got it. Fiercey knows her astrology, and his birthday is April the 21st. That is the first day of Taurus, right on the edge of Aries. Aries and Taurus switching at 420, and he is 421. So he is Taurus. There you go. Fiercely saw Sarah on the board today. Scotty Barnes, Twitch family representing. That's right. All right, third question. What city and state was Brendan Malone born in? What city and state is Mr. Brendan Malone born in? And, actually, Michael's from that place, too, which is interesting. And, this is why a lot of these fans are saying we should root for the Nuggets right now. What city and state was Brendan Malone born in? There we go. Fiercey's got it. New York, New York, New York, New York. That's why these Knicks fans can get behind cheering for this team. It is New York, New York. That is right. All right, here's a little bit tougher one. Advanced Raptorfreak trivia here. What is the nickname of Brendan Malone's alma mater when he played in college, like a long time ago? Remember, what is the nickname of the college nickname? How we do Michigan State Spartans. What would be the Spartans part for the university that Brendan Malone attended way back? This is tough. I'm going to tell you right now, some of these questions are very, very tough, and they're going to take a little bit of digging by, some of y'all. Because we're going in the finals soon, there are not going to be many more of these trivias in this season, and that bobblehead is going to be getting awarded soon. So there may only be like 2 more weeks of trivia in this season. Then we're going to start all over, fresh, clean slate. Badgers, you saying he went to Wisconsin? That's not where he went. He didn't go to Wisconsin. It's a good guess, Mike. Gales, that's right. Infamous has got it. It's a very weird name. He went to Iona. Iona, and it is the Gales. Is that how you say it? Gales? Giles? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm just gonna say Gales. Yeah, that's a weird one, eh? Parker, Colorado. I don't know. I don't know. All right, next question. What job was Brendan Malone's first major head coaching job? I'm not talking about like piddly little schools and stuff like that. I'm talking about what was the first big school that he got to be a head coach at, and we're not talking NBA. So what university was his first major head coaching job in his career? Brendan Malone. What university did he start at? We'll have to see. I fully expect y'all to like cheat like crazy on this one. It's not even cheating. It's just really fast researching. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, Shanky was here, David was here. They would be researching real quick. Memphis? No, he did not coach at Memphis. That's not the right one. New York University. That's a pretty good guess, Tom. I know. I love that you guys are going off the top of your head. I can really tell you're just guessing off the top of your head, and that's fantastic. But these are a little difficult. Maybe I should give y'all a clue. My clue is Jeffrey Doughton Jr. How about that? Will that tell you where he coached the first time? Jeffrey Doughton Jr. is the clue. If you can figure that out from him, you might figure it out. That may be the easiest clue, or that's a great clue actually for which school. There you go. Mike's got it. It's Rhode Island. Mike has got this one. He coached at Rhode Island first. That was his first major head coaching job. Was Rhode Island. Rhode Island. Good job, Mike. Did you get that from the Jeff Doughton clue? That's fantastic. I love that. All right, let's keep going. What team was Brendan Malone a part of when he won 2 NBA championships? What team was he? Well, you got it from the clue. I love it. What team was he a part of when he won 2 NBA championships? What team was Brendan Malone a part of when he won those championships? Yeah, this is a pretty easy question, y'all. If you may know from other trivias we've done in the past, but we'll go over this again. What team was Brendan Malone a part of when he won 2 NBA championships? Yeah, what team was he on when he was employed and the team won 2 championships? I'm not going to tell you what position he was in, but what team? Where did he get 2 chips? 2 Larrys. Where did Michael Malone's dad get 2 Larrys at? Where was it? All right, this is interesting. This may be too easy. I don't know. Lakers is not right. No. In fact, that was the enemy for the first time they went to the playoffs, and they lost to the Lakers. It wasn't fun, and that kind of made them want to come back and win again. The first finals run, they lost the Lakers, but then they won the next 2 finals runs after that year. So yeah, that's right, Mike. It's the Pistons. It's the bad boy Pistons. Brendan Malone was an assistant coach on the Detroit Pistons, and that's when he won 2 championships in 89 and 90 as an assistant coach. Now, who was the head coach when they won those championships in Detroit? Who was he an assistant coach underneath this legendary coach? What is his name? That is the next question. Who was the coach of the Pistons during the bad boy era? That's a very easy question, honestly. Most people should know that. Yeah, Fiercey knows it. It's Chuck Daly. Chuck Daly is the answer to the question. The legendary Chuck Daly. I love Chuck Daly. He's one of my favorite all-time coaches. I really do love Chuck Daly. Yeah, rest in peace. All right, here's the next question. 3 answers. So you can get any of them. You'll get 25 points. What 3 universities was Brendan Malone an assistant coach at? Assistant, not head. What 3 universities did he work earlier in his career as an assistant coach at those universities? Not at Rhode Island, because he was a head coach there. What are the 3 universities that he was an assistant coach on staff earlier in his career? These are tough. Once again, this is maybe I could give more clues on this. First clue will be, well, who retired yesterday and where did he go to school? Do you guys know where the guy who retired yesterday, what his university was? That is one of the universities on this list. And then the other one, yeah, spell it right, Mike. All right, Fiercey's going to come in and sweep and get them all. I love it. Fiercey's got Fordham. That is right. Yale is the other one. And Syracuse. Mike just like really spelled it crazy. I don't know, Mike. I can't give you say use. She got in there and got those. I mean, it's close. I know you wanted to say it. I know autocorrect is your enemy in Raptorsfreak trivia. It's for sure your enemy in this. Syracuse. I like that. That you spelled it phonetically. That kind of works. Syracuse. Syracuse. All right, here we go. Who was the first NBA head coach to have Brendan Malone on his staff as an assistant coach? His very first NBA job was under which coach? Mike should get it. You think? No, no, no. Say use. Say use. What is that? No. No, no, no. He's getting points. Don't worry. Mike's in good shape. He's all right. He's all right. Who was the first NBA head coach to have Brendan Malone underneath him as an assistant in the NBA? Who was the very first coach that had him hired underneath him as a coach? And this was in I won't say what team. I won't say what team. That may give it away. This is somebody who's very lauded, that everybody thinks is an amazing head coach in the history of the NBA. He's still active as an announcer for some games. He will still do color commentary even at his advanced age. That's right. Isaac Campbell's got it. It's Hubie Brown. Hubie Brown was the first ever coach that hired Brendan Malone, and he worked under. Yeah, that's a great job, Isaac. I love to see you get the points. Next question. This is a good one. I like this next question. Who was Brendan Malone a leading authority on how to stop in the 1990s? In fact, this made him a very valuable coach. People were sought after him because he was famous for being a leading authority and expert on how to stop one particular player in the 1990s. Who do you think that was? I know you know who it was. This has been an answer on our trivia last week, too. That's right, Mike. It is Michael Jordan. Brendan Malone was considered an expert on how to slow down and stop Michael. He worked with Joe Dumars and was very effective at stopping Michael to a degree when the Bulls and the Pistons would play around there. And it was really Brendan Malone's coaching that was helping to get Michael shut down to a degree. So Michael Jackson, Isaac, yeah, Michael Jackson, tee, woo, yeah, MJ the fake goat. Whoa, 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 whoa! Come on now, shots fired. All right, let's see. Other than Toronto, what team did Brendan Malone get to head coach? He got to head coach two different teams. The 1 year here in Toronto, but then he did get one more chance to be a head coach in the NBA, but not for very long. But he did head coach one other team in the NBA. What was the other team that he eventually got the head coach also in his NBA head coaching career? He didn't really head coach a lot. He was an assistant most of his career. Orlando Magic's a good guess, Isaac. It's not right. The Heat is a good guess, and it's not right, Mike. No, it's not those two teams. It's interesting how much Brendan was all over the NBA. He really, really was a coach all over the NBA in a lot of different places. He was an interim coach, and he got to coach somebody who was involved in the game last night very early on in their career. He was the head coach of that player that we've been talking about today a lot, that he may be retiring this summer. Yeah, so there's your answer right there. He got to coach somebody we've been talking about today already. Very early on in his career, he was the interim head coach for that team, and technically one of his head coaches early. That's right, Mike. It's the Cavs, and it's LeBron James. Yeah, Brendan Malone was the interim coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2005. So he was very much there with young LeBron. Very, very early on in his career, he got to be his head coach for just a little smidge of time. So that's kind of an interesting duality to think about, that LeBron had Michael Malone's dad as his coach very early on in his career. Very, very interesting. All right. The next question is, who was the last head coach that Brendan Malone assisted to in his career? Who was the last coach that got Brendan Malone to sit next to him as an assistant before he retired for good? Who was that last head coach who had him on his staff? Who do you think it is? It's this guy. I don't think this guy's coaching anymore right now. Him and his brother were both coaches in the NBA. And he's kind of a weird, fiery guy. He's a weirdo. But he's a good coach. I mean, he had a pretty good career, I guess. I don't know. Let's see if we get any guesses on this one. Who do you think it is? There we go. Mike's got it. It's Stan Van Gundy. I think I was doing a pretty good job of describing him. His brother coached. He's kind of weird. Mike's cleaning up today. Mike's doing very well on the Brendan Malone trivia today. All right, here's the next one. What team did Brendan Malone get to work under his son, Michael Malone, very briefly? There was a team where they both were on the staff, but Michael was the head coach and Brendan, the father, was the assistant coach next to him. But it was not for long. It was not for long. Where were they when that happened? What team were they on at that time? See, they're all over the place, these Malones. I'm telling you. Brendan Malone was the assistant coach and Michael Malone was the head coach. What team was that on? What team was that? What franchise was that? Where Michael was the head coach and Brendan was an assistant under him. The dad was an assistant under him. That's right, Fiercey. It's the Sacramento Kings. And what happened was they hired Brendan on, and he was older at that point, and he didn't like the rigors of the travel and the stress, so he resigned under his son. And then, like a year or two later, he went and worked for Stan Van Gundy. He's like, I can't travel with you, son, and be out there with you. It's too stressful and rigorous. But then he turned around and did it some more anyway with a different coach. That's interesting to me. But it's the Kings. The Kings is the right answer. All right, here's the next one. The Malones, both of them, were both assistant coaches on which team at the same time? There was a time when they were both on the same team, but neither were the head coach, but they were both assistant coaches. What franchise were they both assistant coaches on the team at the same time? So they did get to work together quite a bit, the father-son duo in Sacramento and in this place, the Knicks. That's right. Edmund's got it now. Edmund is on the board. Race Mode Daily coming in and getting some points today. It is the New York Knicks, and their family very much is ensconced in Knicks culture. So that's why Knicks fans, y'all should be rooting for the Denver Nuggets. You definitely should be. All right, here we go. We still got some more questions, at least four more questions. What country is Michael Malone a consultant for their national team? We're talking about his son, the guy who coached last night for the Nuggets. What national team is Michael Malone a consultant for on the international stage for their national men's basketball team? What is it? Oh, you see, Evan got the first one. Serbia is right, Tom. Serbia is the team that Michael Malone is a consultant for. Good job, Tom. Good guess. Good guess. Serbia is the right answer. All right, next to three more, and that's it. We're done. What other father-son pair were the first to both be NBA head coaches? The Malones were the second father-son pair to become head coaches in the NBA. There was a pair of father and son that did it before them. Who are they? Who were the first ever father-son head coaches in the history of the NBA? Who were they? The Silases? No, that was after. Silas came after, and they are definitely on the list. Don Nelson Jr. has never been a head coach. I don't think it's the Nelsons. I don't think they're on the list. The Silases are for sure later on. But we're talking about the second ever, the first ever, and then the second ever. So who was it before the Malones? And this would have happened, in the 90s, the 2000s, I think is when it happened. And then Michael Malone became a head coach in 2010s, and then Silas more recently. I don't know if Don Nelson Jr. actually ever was a head coach for sure, Isaac, just so you know. I think he was always just an assistant. Bickerstaff, that's an interesting guess. That is also would be a correct one now, but that is not the right one. We're talking about the very first father-son head coaching pair. Bickerstaff is a great guess, though. That is definitely one that would be on there, and so would Unseld. Unseld would be another one that would fit this category, but they're all after the fact. We're talking about before the Malones. The very first, Saunders, very interesting guess. That would be on the list also, but that is after. That is after. This is a coach that came before Michael Malone. There we go. Fiercey's got it. It's the Musselmans. Bill Musselman was the coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves the very first year the Timberwolves were in existence. And then his son, Eric, came and coached the Timberwolves after him. And that is the answer. Fiercey Salcera on the board for that one, getting more points. All right. Good job, Fiercey. Bill and Luke Walton. That's another one. I don't think this is the thing, Tom. Bill Walton, I don't think he ever coached, so he doesn't count. He always just did broadcasting. I don't think Bill Walton actually ever was a head coach in the NBA, so he doesn't fit this category. Luke Walton did, but not Bill. That's the interesting thing. He was never a head coach, I don't think. I'm pretty sure Bill Walton never head coached. All right, let's keep going. What is the nickname of Michael Malone's college alma mater? We had the question earlier. It was the Iona Gales. What is the one for Michael Malone? What is his nickname for his college alma mater that he played at when he was a player, when he was younger? What is it? Do you guys know? What is the nickname, like Gales on that one, or Spartans, or groundhogs, or whatever, animal or person thing or whatever? What is the nickname of Michael Malone's? The Mud Stompers. The Mud Stompers. No, that's an interesting guess. Yeah. Bill was always on TV and never actually went to the sidelines. He was just always on. He was very much on the broadcast a lot, way back, way more back in the day. Mud Stompers is not right. This is a tough one. Where did Michael Malone go to school, first of all? And then what is the nickname of that university? What is their nickname? This is an interesting school because it's not a big school, and there's schools that have the same name as it in other locations. They're more well known. There's different schools that kind of have the same name in the US, and they have to distinguish them. Like, what is it? Miami of Florida and Miami of Ohio, stuff like that. So this is kind of a situation with this, with it's a lower known of the same name that has maybe a higher notoriety. MU, Maryland. That's not a bad guess. And that is very, very close where we're talking about. That's maybe the right location, but that's not the right name of the school. And it's not the nickname, Mike. If you were going to say Terrapins, that's not the nickname that I'm looking for. University of Maryland Terrapins. I'm looking for a different school and a different animal. Let's just put it that way. But the same area of the country where the school is as Maryland. So there you go. We'll have to see if somebody gets this one. This may be the stumper for today. What is the nickname of Michael Malone's college alma mater? What would it be? Oh, Isaac's jumped in and he's got it. It's the Greyhounds. That's right. It's the Loyola Maryland Greyhounds. Isaac Campbell on the board for that one. Good job, Isaac, getting some points today. Last question of the day, and this may be a pretty tough one too. Of course, with the coaches, I can't really ask the same kind of questions as with the players. It's a little bit different, but it worked all right getting the Brendan Malone Classic Jurassic Trivia in today. When Michael Malone was born, what was Brendan Malone's coaching job at that time? Where was he coaching at that time? No, we're not doing the how much they made money. I don't know how much money they made. I can't go look that up. When Michael Malone was born, what was Brandon Malone's coaching job at that time? When little baby Michael came, what job was Brendan doing when he had his son was born? What job was he doing? This is like really early on in his career. And I just want the name of where he was coaching, basically. And that may be a little tough. It's a little weird of a question. In some ways, you may have to do a little bit of detective work. Go look at Michael Malone's Wikipedia and see when he was born, and then go look at the timeline of what Brendan Malone's coaching life was doing at that time. And you can tell me just where he was coaching. That'll get the answer on this one. 90 million. I don't know how much he's made. It's really interesting. I don't know how rich these coaches get, especially the older coaches. Like Brendan Malone, I don't know how much money he made. He probably didn't make a whole lot of money. You'd be shocked that, these guys aren't making a whole much. There we go. Isaac's in there. He was the head coach at Power Memorial Academy, which sounds like a really crazy school to be at. It was in New York City. And I guess it's a place where like some of the up and coming New York City area players get to play to kind of get towards big colleges. So yeah, good job, Isaac. Thank you for getting the hard questions and being that net. I appreciate you, Mr. Campbell, for doing that. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, you would have never guessed that. I mean, that's the thing, Mike. It is true. These coaches' questions are harder. In some ways, you don't really know, like, we don't know much about Brendan Malone, but now we do. We know a little bit more about him and his origins and where he came from. They really are New York kind of people. And he very much gravitated to back and forth to the New York Knicks franchise. There were a couple of times where he worked for the Knicks, and he'd come back and he'd work for them again. He'd go work for somebody else and he'd come back. And his son also worked there also in New York. So Knicks fans, you can root for Michael Malone to win because he's a New Yorker. All right, let's do our Instagram check real quick. We got Ron Harper Jr. first up, and he is in Minnesota, y'all. He got his hair cut at a barbershop in Minnesota. just so y'all know. And Ron's been very active on social media recently, of course, with the Rutgers Cam guy changing and going the NIL route has been a hot topic, and he feels very strongly about it. Also, he's been talking a lot about just other things in general online. Ron Harper, very active on social media right now, the anti Nikola Jokic. Slim Duck was out last night, and he's with this guy. He plays basketball also, Axel Okongo, and he looks like he's a prospect. He may be Canadian, and he may be just working out with Chris right now. But they're out at dinner, and I love this because Chris is making fun of a LeBron fan. Basically, he's like the real LeBron fans stay true, at least, and he's capturing the angst and the sadness of Axel about how LeBron's losing and getting swept out last night. And Chris is kind of making fun of him. And in some ways, I'm like, this is hilarious. Chris is like making fun of a LeBron lover in their anguish at that time. Well, Chris, man, it's hilarious in some ways. And it's good to know that Chris feels like that in some ways. Like sometimes you don't know how guys are. He respects LeBron and like he doesn't want to piss him off, obviously, when he's on the court with him. But in some ways, him making fun of the LeBron lover for being sad is kind of funny. Chris Boucher, hilarious. Christian Coloco putting himself on blast a little bit more because the Raptors have been putting out more Christian Coloco propaganda out on their media and their social media accounts, and I'm all about it. You go ahead. Let's celebrate our rookie from last year. Get him feeling good and coming back confident with a very strong effort next season. Matt Devlin is moonlighting as an announcer for the Blue Jays right now. He went and called the game yesterday for Sportsnet with Buck Martinez. He was really happy to be down in Tampa calling the Blue Jays game against the Tampa Bay Rays. You go, Matt Devlin, voice of the Raptors. We love you. You can be the voice of the Blue Jays for a little bit. You're so good. Of course, everybody wants to hear those pipes calling the game. Matt Devlin, you go. And Siakam is standing with Vinny Jr., this really ugly story out of La Liga soccer over in Spain. There's a lot of racism in the games over there. They're treating the black player very poorly in the middle of the game. And the whole league looks just ugly and racist right now. And a couple of people have been coming out in support of this guy who's being attacked racially different places. Of course, the soccer people are coming out, but there's also a lot of basketball players that are standing up for him. And Siakam is one of them, posting something about him and how it's not right. It's not football. It's inhumane. And yeah, if you have a racism problem in your league, Spanish soccer league, y'all need to do something about it and not just be like, this is just how it is, y'all. Because that's what it seems like. Y'all are just having institutionalized racism that's right out in front of everybody, and they just have to accept it. In fact, in some ways, the guy got punished for being a victim. And I really hate that whole situation. I think it's messed up. And like, why would anybody want to come play there? Why would anybody want to invest in this? I don't care how big it is, whether it's life or whatever. Y'all need to clean up your shit because that is not a good look. I'm sorry. And then also Siakam putting out some artsy pictures yesterday. He's saying he's like feeling like Basquiat with all these pictures he painted. He's got cool pictures and his cool expressions. And he's, maybe he heard our style debate yesterday on Monday. And he's like, I want to get into the debate about the style because he's wearing different clothes and trying to look stylish and stuff. Good stuff from him. Love seeing Siakam with new content on social media. And then, yes, Scotty, once again, at the OVO and also downtown near the CN Tower. Love seeing Scotty back in Toronto. That is awesome. I love that so much. All right, guys, just remember there are more WNBA games tonight. We will be having more games played. So please set your WNBA lineups if you have a fantasy team in the Raptorsfreak Fantasy League. The action's been awesome, fantastic, and so cool. Just don't miss out on getting those points. I am drubbing Tom right now, 300 to 100 or something like that. Tom needs some help. He really does, because my team is absolutely going crazy and kicking so much butt. So much butt. All right, let's see what else you guys have been saying afterwards. Infamous is saying, breaking news, Lakers eyeing Trae Young. This is really interesting because Trae Young was at the game last night along with Kyrie. And both these guys kind of like are maybe they want to be on the Lakers. I can see Trae Young wanting to be on the Lakers. Well, we'll have to see what happens with LeBron. The money may not be right. I mean, they're already saying they're going to have trouble keeping Rui Hashimura and Austin Reeves. Well, how the hell are they going to go get Trey Young and Kyrie Irving if they're having problems with that kind of stuff? It's a weird situation. What are the Lakers going to do? I have total faith that they're going to make some boneheaded move that will take back any progress that they did this year. That they will get rid of whoever was helpful to them getting better this year, like Roy Hashimura, and they'll manage to lose them somehow this summer. That's what I see happening with this. They want to go get Trey Young, that's fine, but they may not be able to have all these guys on the same team because their money is pretty spent out. I mean, the money that Anthony Davis makes is crazy. And then LeBron on top of that, yeah, you don't have a lot of wiggle room. And if they're able to figure this out, holy crap. Infamous is saying if the Raptors hire Steve Nash, he will boycott. Holy crap. Holy crap. I wouldn't do that. I love the Raptors too much. I'm not against this totally. Like if they did it, they better have a good reason for it. And then things will be really good. Because then I'd have to trust in Masai. Like if they announced that they hired Steve Nash as our head coach tomorrow, I would fully support it. And I would fully give him a full chance because I know that they wouldn't do that if they didn't think it would work. So that's part of it. It's like I got to trust in Messiah on this, and I won't be boycotting myself. I will give him a chance and really, really root for him and hope he does very huge, successful things. Because if he did get hired and he is very successful, that's fantastic. And I love the whole Canadian content thing. Once again, our coach is Canadian. Hey, I don't mind that. I just don't think he's the right hire. But I don't know. Maybe Masai and Bobby will think he's the right hire, and that they may hire him, but I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I think that they're just doing their due diligence, and he's a name that came up, and there may be, well, you know what? Maybe we should go interview Steve and see how he feels about it, feel him out on it. Mike saying, infamous, don't worry. He's definitely not a hard coach, which is what we need. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing I worry about. It seems like we need a tough love coach right now. And in some ways, Nick Nurse wasn't even that tough love coach. So how the hell is Steve Nash going to be that tough love coach? It's like we need a drill sergeant. We need somebody who's going to come in and kick these guys in the shape where they're going to be like, whoa, I need to be on toes and really putting in really good hard work and effort because coach is holding me accountable. And that is something we want from our coach more than anything. That is what I want. I don't want Nick Nurse's lax player philosophies where he's like, you guys do what you want, go have fun. No, I want a coach that's going to tell them what to do, and they need to follow his rules and do what he says. The difference is I want a coach that understands the players and sets them up to succeed within the parameters of what their skills will allow them to do something. In some ways, Nick Nurse had these crazy ideas about what they should be doing, and they had to fit into it. Like I've said before, I want a coach that knows what they want, but it fits the players, and they're not trying to cram the players into their system. And that's part of the problem with Nate and Nick is that they have systems they try and cram the players into instead of catering the system to the personnel and the players that they have. And then if you do it that way and you can hold them accountable and say, well, I know you can do this because this is your bread and butter. You're so good at this. And I set this system up to make you succeed with your strengths. That you have no excuse. You better just do this. In some ways, what Nick was demanding of them was like really impossible in certain ways, and they still try to do it to their best ability. And that's what I'm saying. This could be a big difference in how things go next year. Is how the system is fitting to the players, because it really was they tried to cram the players into the system the last couple of years with Nick Nurse. Well, let's make a system that benefits and fits people like Scotty Pascal and gets the best out of them easier in a more natural way. How about that? Yeah, I'm all about that. Let's see. Mike's infamous is saying, I hope he's being interviewed for the 905, Mike. Laugh out loud. I don't want to slight a great Canadian legend and a nice guy like Steve Nash. So I'll tread real lightly on here for sure. Yeah, I don't think if I was Steve, I wouldn't even get back into coaching. There's all kinds of other areas in this world that you could be really good at, Steve. In fact, you have an activism heart. You're very, very politically minded, and you've spoken out on many different things throughout your life. There's so much good beneficial things you can do with charities and just being an ambassador and just being maybe a political figure in some ways, Steve Nash. Maybe you should consider running for politics. Maybe you need to run for MP or something like that out in BC. And who knows, you could be the Prime Minister of Canada in 20 years or 15 years. I would say do that, Steve. That could be way more of an impact, and you could be very, very good at it because you're a conscientious, intelligent person who really does care. And I would love to see you go into politics. Forget about coaching. Forget about coaching the Raptors. Forget about going and dealing with these prima donnas like James Harden and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Go into politics and deal with the prima donnas in that arena and see if you can kick their ass. I really do want him to do this. It just makes so much sense. We need better leadership in Canada, and he's a name, and he could do that. If he got in the political arena, he'd be very successful. Trust me, he'd be very, very successful. David's got the cup, and he does. He's holding it. He's going to be getting that cup very soon. Once that Larry O'Brien gets awarded to one of these NBA teams, well, David is probably going to get his Vince Carter knockoff bobblehead, and I'll have to arrange a meeting to meet him downtown to give him the bobblehead finally in the next couple weeks. That is coming, David. I know you're going to win it because you have a crazy lead over everybody. Mike's saying, as an assistant, could be interesting to help Scotty run point guard. That is an interesting idea of having him around our team to just be that kind of point guard mind and kind of like be an authority on those kind of things. But it's the job of the head coach is just so crazy right now. It's so high pressured and stressed, and it's just not an easy job in all kinds of ways. We see how quickly they're getting fired right now. So yeah, Infamous is saying, why are we interviewing him? Let's see. I think that we're interviewing him partly because his name has been bandied around a bit. Some fans have said they want to hire Steve Nash. They like to have him come here and be our coach. He does have head coaching experience now with the Nets, even if it was tumultuous and kind of awkward. But he did have a winning percentage there. And I don't know how much that is really just the superstars he was coaching or what, but he does have a winning coaching percentage. I mean, him on my coaching spreadsheet, there's a couple of green boxes as far as like he was an 18-year pro that really does know the game. And it would be very interesting to have a two-time NBA MVP as your coach and who could possibly really teach some of the young guys on our team some things. But I don't think he should be the head coach. If he came on as an assistant or even as associate head coach, like would fill in behind somebody next to him, I'd like it. But I don't want him to be the figurehead, end all, be all head coach. I'd rather him learn and be mentored a little bit more underneath somebody, because he really got thrown right in the fire as a head coach with not ever having to do assistant coach stuff for too much. He did a little bit with Steve Kerr in Golden State, but that didn't really count. And he needs to go and be an assistant coach underneath some people first before he comes back into head coaching. I just believe that. That's how I feel about it. Invis is saying Austin Reeves would be perfect as a Raptor. He might be pretty good because he's a good shooter. Now, is he going to be worth the price? His price is going to be inflated a bit just because of the prestige of being pumped up in the Lakers' eyes. And he may not be worth the money that they pay him. Actually, he may be like, listen, there's the other thing. He may have a really good year this year, and he may not be that good in like a year or two, too. Sometimes players like him that are undrafted, they just kind of come from nowhere, they get figured out and they're not as good all of a sudden. They have like a really hot streak and then it kind of goes away. And then you've paid them a whole bunch of money on what you expect them to be consistently after that. So I don't know. I'm not totally into Austin Reeves just because I don't think that he's going to be consistently good forever. And that you may tie him up in a big contract and you may be regretting that. Let's just put it that way. New Thousands here. Good to see New Thousand every morning, 9:30 a.m. Tomorrow it'll be a wow Wednesday. Maybe we'll talk more about Steve Nash then too. Question: what percentage do you give that Kyle Lowry will be the Raptors head coach one day? I give this a very low percentage. I would say maybe 5%. Maybe. I don't even know if Kyle's going to actually be a coach. I really, really don't. I've heard him in interviews say he doesn't think he will be a coach because he can't handle the knuckleheadedness of the young players. That it's not that attractive to him in some ways. Everybody thinks these guys want to be coaches, but they know it's a headache. They know it sucks, and they wouldn't want to do it. That's what Jokic just said a couple days ago. He was caught coaching on the sidelines, and somebody asked him afterwards, would you want to be a coach afterwards? He's like, hell no, I don't want to be a coach. That sucks. That job sucks. I would not want to be a coach. It really sucks, is what Jokic says. So I don't know. Lowry makes so much money. You have to work really hard and really want to do it. It's a totally different kind of thing than being a player or a coach as a player on the court. You have to live, breathe everything, and you have to be so into basketball, and you have to really put up with a lot of bullshit and a lot of annoying things. And in some ways, it's out of your hands. You have to depend on other people to step up and do good things. And people hate that. Some people really hate that. Coaches are a very strange breed, and some of them are a little bit masochistic. Let's just put it that way. And Kyle may be like, I don't want to go do that. I'd rather just stay home and have my money and have a good time than coach. I think everybody's just thinking he would be a coach automatically, but he doesn't have to because he doesn't want to. He'd be a good coach, sure, but I don't think he wants to. I really don't. I think that everybody's going to be surprised that he doesn't go into coaching because it's not attractive to him. In fact, look at all these people getting fired recently. Tom Duke saying week one was ugly for the Tyrannosauruses. I traded half my team out and looking to turn it around. All right, Tom, bring it. You still got till the 28th. You got 5 more days against me to try and make up the margin. This is a whole long week thing. In fact, we got 8 days on this one because the way that it all lined up. So yeah, you still got time, but you got a lot to catch up. And I am not taking my foot off the gas. Trust me. Yeah. David Saborin saying AD is almost as overrated as Joel. Honestly, to me, AD is more overrated than Joel. Seriously. And I think Joel is overrated. I think we can see who the real MVP this year is, and he's probably going to go get the MVP in the finals. I think AD has been overrated ever since he left New Orleans. As soon as he went and got a purple and gold jersey, they instantly overrated him, and that has hurt his development in becoming a mature, good pro and solid pro, consistent pro that he should be right now because he fed into all the noise and the hype and the bullshit of being a Laker. And he was around LeBron and he saw how LeBron did things. And he's like, oh, I can do this. But you're younger. You're younger. You're not as old as LeBron. You got to do things differently. You got to work harder and you got to have to want it more. And I don't think AD does. That's the difference. Joel, in some ways, I have more respect than Anthony Davis. I feel bad for him because he's always hurt. But once again, if he had never gone to the Lakers, his career would have been better because he would have had to work harder. He wouldn't have been coddled. He wouldn't have been told all the time how great he was when he wasn't really being great. And maybe he would have been better. He was working towards getting better and better in New Orleans. And then the worst thing happened. He went to the Lakers. And that really kind of messed up his career. He could have been one of the greatest of all time if he just stayed in another team away from the Lakers. The Lakers destroyed his career. Seriously. People can say, oh, this and that. Oh, no, what are you talking about? He won a championship with the Lakers. Yeah, if you count that as a championship. Some people don't. Some people don't count that as a championship. Mike saying the way the Raps decide things, they researched a lot of options. Then they get the head people in a room and talk out the options, then decide there. Woj explained why he can't get leaks. It's timing of the okay. I don't know what that completely is. Yeah, I mean, whatever process Masai and Bobby are doing, we still got to see how the dust settles with this playoff. In some ways, maybe we don't need to wait any longer because it's only looking like Boston's going to open up their job, and then there'll be even more competition. I don't know. We're definitely not going to get Nick Nurse. Obviously, we just fired him, so they can go ahead and be darlings. Everybody's kind of trying to court Nick Nurse right now, whatever. But we need to try and get one of those other big names. And I'm talking about Budenholzer or Monty Williams. Those two guys would be great. And they're on the top 5 for me, like as far as who we should hire. And that would make a big splash. Now, I would feel better being in the hands of one of those two guys just because of their track records and how they've done in recent years. Budenholzer, in some ways, is still my number one choice right now. I would like Coach Budenholzer to be the Raptors coach next season. If it's not him, Sergio or Adrian or, Coach Monty. Yeah, these are all names that I'm okay with. And, of course, Stackhouse. Those are my top 5 right now at this point. Budenholzer, probably second is probably Stackhouse. Then maybe Sergio or Monty, and then Sergio, and then Griffin. And Griffin, in some ways, like it'd be really weird if Griffin gets hired before Nurse does. That would be very strange because in some ways, there's not a whole lot of jobs and there are a lot of candidates. And what could happen is that the big names like Nick Nurse goes to one of the other Atlantic teams, which will be a nightmare and it'll be kind of annoying, but so be it. We will fight you and we will fight you hard if you're the coach of the other team, Nick. And then we see who gets hired in Phoenix and Milwaukee. And it could be that Adrian Griffin is still out there and we just hire him and he's our coach for next year. That is our backup plan. That seriously is right now. Adrian has not been let go. He's actually under contract for our team next year. He is still under contract with us. He has not been let go like the rest of the coaches, but he is giving a permission to go and take a head coaching job with another team if he gets that offer. We're not trying to stop him from progressing his career, but he is also still got that falling place. If nothing happens, that he can still be with us next year. And that isn't even contingent on him being the head coach. He could come back and be our number one assistant still under our new head coach because he's just under contract with us, y'all. And that's something that people aren't realizing about Adrian Griffin. He's not completely gone. He is under contract with us next season, but he is exploring his options right now. And until that all gets sussed out, there is a good high chance that Adrian Griffin will still be a part of our coaching staff next year, unless somebody hires him and he gets a head coaching job. So we'll have to see. Isaac saying Steve Nash and Steve Kerr have always been my favorite players and then coaches. We need offensive schemes. Yeah, Nash, I don't know, man. He's such a mystery to me because he was really in a poor situation for his head coaching job, the first one, that it's really hard to gauge whether he is a good coach or not because the caliber of the players he was with also and the problems of the players he was with. So it's really, really hard to gauge what exactly was Steve's fault and also if he was good partly because of the quality of the guys he had. So in some ways, I just want to stay away from it. There's some toxic baggage around him, whether it's fair or unfair. It's just the truth. There is some toxic baggage around him, and it's not told. I bet you it's not his fault. It's just it is how it is. Let's keep going. La 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 la. Mike saying Nick's systems are based on ball movement into open shots. Without shooting, those actions aren't effective. Nick was brought in to change the ISO dominant Casey style, but now we don't have the shooters. Yeah. Yeah. I want you to utilize what you have. Like if you have a yard and you have a bunch of existing plants out there, you may have good plants already and you want to cater to using the existing stuff. So it's kind of like you build the system around what you have existing. And if there's strengths to the Raptors in certain ways, well, he would play them up on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, he did not. I really didn't feel like he used them right. And if he's really relying on the open shots going down and we're not making them, we're not a good shooting team. He's got to change the way we play and try and cultivate an offensive style that is effective with the kind of players we have. Okay, this summer, Masai and Bobby get better shooters and see if the next coach can do better with this kind of stuff next. We'll see. Infamous saying Chris Quinn of the Miami Heat is the perfect coach. The Heat have a very similar culture to the Raptors. He is a must hire. Well, I don't disagree with you. In fact, the Spoelstra system is very much successful right now. We're seeing that, and they are very similar. There is a similarity to the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors for sure. But in some ways, once again, I've said I don't want a new head coach. I don't want a rookie head coach. I want an established guy that comes in with respect already. And I know that Chris Quinn's gotten some as the number one under Eric Spoelstra for a couple of years now. And he has had to be the coach when he's gotten thrown out of games or not been able to be there. Chris Quinn has been the head coach for the Heat. But still, I don't know how much respect he's going to get around the league as a rookie head coach. And that's what always worries me. This is going to be a very important transitional year next year. We do not need to have a second down year. We need to have another up year like the year before last year and have an above 500 year. So we cannot take a risk on being bad partly because our coach doesn't know what they're doing. It's not that I don't think Chris will know what he's doing. It's just that I don't like experimenting with unknown people just in case. I think he might be all right. You may be right, but and it is attractive his ties to Miami and him being a student under Spoelstra. But there's also things about him that are unattractive to me. And it's basically like, look, he's going to have to go through the ringer as a rookie head coach with the referees and getting respect and all that kind of stuff. David's saying, we'll go grab dinner and watch a WNBA game. My treat. Awesome. Well, I don't know if there's any more. You mean just go to the bar and watch it? I was like going to say, we can't go to the game because they only had one game here already. And they'll be on TV. I'm all about that, David, for sure. When you get your award, we'll definitely make it a hangout and not just like a weird drop off or something like that. I'll try and do that. And, maybe we can get other people to come and hang out. Maybe we'll do a special awards banquet for David Saborin winning the Raptor Freak Trivia this season. And we'll have anybody else wants to come join us and hang out and do a little Raptor Freak social function. Maybe we'll have that organized in the next couple weeks. Maybe we'll do that. That sounds like fun. David's saying, Tom, when are you coming back to Toronto? It's not always that cold. Well, I'm hopefully going to go see Tom over where he's at in the next couple months still. So we're going to figure that out. I know Tom will probably come back to Toronto at some point. Hopefully he can come back and he could be there and see a good victory the next time and be around maybe for a couple more days than just 2 days like that. Maybe get a little bit more time in Toronto to do more different stuff. Who knows? We'll have to see. We'll have to see how the future goes and see what happens. MSJ saying, hi, everyone. One comment here. Jokic. I knew he would take the Lakers down, but not as easy as this. He could start a dynasty up there in the mountains. It's weird. I don't know if this league is built for dynasties anymore. I think that it's just really going to be some years are going to be the year for that team. And this year is the Nuggets year. It seems like it. It feels like it. But there's no guarantees it'll be like that next year. There's all kinds of threatening powers out in the West. And the path may have opened up and been there for Denver this year, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen again next year. I would hold my breath on any kind of dynasty predictions in this new parity NBA. It could very well be like some people are predicting. There's going to be like a different NBA championship every year, a different champion, and that's kind of already been happening. We could go all the way back to to our championship and say, look, it was us, the Lakers, Milwaukee, Golden State, and now it would probably be Denver. That's 5 different champions in 5 different years. That trend may continue just because of the way the league is now. So that's actually really good. It keeps it wide open. And I don't pencil in that the Nuggets are just going to win next year. I don't believe that. I really don't. I think that somebody else can knock them out or somebody else will have a better year. There's all kinds of factors, injuries, whatever. So I can't do that. I can't say that there's a dynasty growing up there because I don't think the NBA allows for dynasties anymore because of the new parity. So we'll have to see. But yeah, Jokic, what's fun about Jokic? His brothers are weird, man. They're scary. Like these dudes are very big, scary people. Did you see how they picked up Michael Malone after the game last night? They picked him up and they were like throwing him at like they would in Europe or something like that. And he's like, oh, okay, cool, guys. Woo. I'm like, holy crap. I would not mess with those Jokic's, man. Those guys are interesting, weird dudes. They're fun. They're all smiling. And they're like, hey, they're happy, but they're also really crazy. Like it seems like Infamous is saying, I'm confused about the coach hiring. Is our new coach picking their own staff or are we picking the staff for him or her? Okay, I can really clear this up for you, Infamous. They're going to be picking their own staff for the most part. There's a couple of Toronto Raptors coaching staff that are just for the organization that don't have anything to do with the head coach, and that's Rico and Jim Sand. And Rico's a development coach, and then Jim Sand is just a really good coach to have around because he does practicing, he does rebounding for the guys. He's just really good in shoot arounds and coming down to OVO in the middle of the night to help Pascal shoot around at like 4 a.m. Jim Sand's kind of that guy. And then, Jamal McGlory will be interesting to see what his role morphs to, but he's still going to be a part of the franchise too. Adrian's just a different kind of person partly because Adrian's worked for so many different coaching staffs already. He has a varied experience, not just with us. He's worked in Milwaukee. He's worked in Dallas. He's worked in a lot of different places. So he kind of knows all kinds of different people. And he seems like the personality kind of person that can fit in on any staff. And it could very well be the incumbent, the new coaching staff is like, I'd be happy to have Adrian Griffin on the staff with us if it works out that way. But we don't know what his status is going to be because he is a candidate to take one of these head coaching jobs. So he could end up being like Milwaukee's coach all of a sudden, and then boom, he's not under contract with us anymore. But technically, he is still under contract with Toronto for next year as a coach on our staff. So we'll have to see how this all shakes out. If Griffin does not get hired as a head coach somewhere else, he probably will be back in Toronto next season. And yes, the new head coach will hire pretty much all the rest of the staff. They're going to hire like 5 or 6 of their own people, but there may be like 2 or 3 people hanging around like Rico, Adrian, and Jim Sand. So basically, that's kind of it. Mike's saying, Infamous, I think the head coach gets 2 to 3 guys and Masai hires the rest. No, I think they get to pick everybody otherwise. It may be that Masai and Bobby got to kind of check their dudes and make sure they're good dudes. and they're like, "Oh, all right, yeah, this is great, this is great." But wait, whoa, 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 whoa! Why do you have Meta World Peace on your assistant coach list here? Meta World Peace, really? You got Panda Bear Lover here or something like that? What is this? Like, oh, who? Wait, what? Wait, oh, he's reformed, he's grown up, he's mature. Wait, Rasheed Wallace? You want Rasheed Wallace to be assistant coach here? Whoa, 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 whoa! We know the referees hate Rasheed Wallace. You can't have him as assistant coach. It could be a little bit like that. It could be a little bit like that of sussing who they're going to actually bring as their staff. I'm sure Masai and Bobby kind of have to okay who they want. They can't just bring in somebody who's like a really bad dumpster fire who could come in and really mess the team up, especially after last year and the assistant coaches kind of screwing up our team. I think they are going to kind of suss out the head coach's staff that they bring with them and not just say, oh, you just can bring whoever. Well, we need to know who you're bringing and whether they're going to all be right because we've had issues with our coaching staff this past year. So Mike saying, okay, yeah, I read that. David saying, I really hope Jokic wins the chip, which forces the NBA to change the rules about MVP voting because this year was such a pathetic performance by the fraudulent MVP. What embarrassment for the NBA. Well deserved, though. There you go, David. I don't disagree with this. The MVP gets put out so early on, but I mean, they want some space between because they are two different awards, the finals MVP and the regular season MVP. And in some ways, the MVP of the regular season, you can't look at it that way. You can't really look at the playoff run. The playoff run may show that guys are frauds, but they're really giving that MVP for the regular season work. And in some ways, you can make the argument that Embiid does deserve it for that. But he doesn't look like it because of the way the playoffs went. Race Mode saying Kyle made too much money to be a coach. That's what I'm saying. These guys make so much money. Some of these really good players, they want to go through the hassle and the stress and taking years off their life of being a coach. It's that kind of stress. So he's like, you want to go to easy street. That dude is probably maybe more likely to become a pro-am golfer than he is a head coach. Seriously, I could see him going and like becoming like on the pro-am tour and out there golfing with everybody all the time and just smiling on Sundays out on the green and like, oh, Kyle Lowry, former NBA player at the green. Let's see if he can get it in the cup. Oh, what a nice putting stroke by Lowry there. Yeah, I mean, he's really worked on his game. He's definitely better than Charles Barkley. Yeah, something like that. Who knows? I can see him becoming an amateur pro golfer instead. Like he could be in a lot of celebrity tours with Bill Murray all of a sudden. He could be on that tour with Bill Murray, golfing all over the city and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Cool Cat saying Kyle's next career is golf and broadcasting. I don't know if he'd do broadcasting, but maybe he could be very good at that. But definitely the golf. I think golf is very strongly in his future. Mike's saying the timing of didn't know what the label, the process of the people in the room. My bad. I don't know what you mean. Oh, you just stopped. You just got to the end of the comment. You couldn't write anymore. That's all good, Mike. It's all good. David's saying, sorry, which coaches have we fired? I don't watch much BS in the offseason for obvious reasons. They're all gone except for Rico, Jim Sand, Jamal McGlure, and Adrian Griffin. They're all gone. Earl Watson fired. Nate Bjorngren fired. Nick Nurse fired. John Goodwillie fired. John Carbascio fired. Trevor Gleason fired. Everybody else. Nathaniel Mitchell fired. Who else? Who else is on that coaching staff that's fired now? Fired. They're all fired. Get the hell out. Let's see. Mike saying David, all of them but Rico and Jim Sand. That's right. All of them but Rico Hines, the prestigious Rico Hines, and the very underrated and undervalued and just an awesome, amazing coach, Jim Sand. That's right. David Saborn saying, interesting. I thought Gleason may have stayed. No, he's fired. He's gone. He may be back to Australia already by now, David. Tom saying sooner than later, for sure. Looking forward to Lex visiting. For sure. Yeah, I'm going to try and come out there. And of course, Tom will try and return to the T-Dot, to the 6. Yeah. Cool Cat saying Steve Nash might be an assistant coach for helping with point guard role and offense movement. That would be a good fit for him. Yeah, I wouldn't be upset to have Steve Nash in our coaching staff. But once again, it's kind of a similar argument to what Kyle Lowry is. Like the dude's got money. The dude doesn't need all the stress. The dude doesn't need all the pressure. The dude doesn't need all the criticism and scrutiny from fans and the press. Like, seriously, do you want all that? Some people just want to be like Tim Duncan and go hide after they're done with their career and never be seen again, barely. They want to just go into a private life because being an NBA player is very much a public spotlight kind of life. And some of these guys are just ready to kind of go and live a private life and be comfortable and happy with their money. Tim Duncan, he could be a coach. Is he going to go be a coach? No, he's not. He's going to be specialty helper around, and then he doesn't have to travel with them. He can just come down to the gym when the Spurs are working out with Wemby, and he can just come in and drop knowledge bombs and teach him moves, and then he can go home. And he doesn't have to get in a plane and fly to Portland and hang out in a hotel for the night. No, he can sit at home. He can help them when they're in town and still have a consultant role with the Spurs and still get a little bit of that around him. But he's not having to do all the rigors of the travel and the stress and the duty and the responsibility and all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm saying. It's really, really tough in today's NBA to be a coach in any kind of way. The travel alone is really annoying. The players have problems with the travel too. Well, you're the coach, you still got to travel just like a player would. And life on the road isn't always fun for that much of the year, especially if you have family. Some guys retire and they're like, I'm ready to get off the road and I'm ready to not have to get on planes all the time. And I'm ready to just sit at home. That may be where Lowry is. We'll have to see. Cool Cat saying Steve Nash. Oh yeah, we said that. Let's see. Isaac saying I wouldn't compare Hall of Famer Steve Nash to a plant. He is more of a fertilizer. There you go. There you go. And he's not existing in the yard. It's like we got to add him to grow the plants that are already there, like Scotty. Mike is saying interesting. Jamal McGlure is staying. I thought you said he was out. No, I didn't say he's out. All right, this is how it is. He's a weird situation with Jamal. Jamal has been a part of the Raptors since the mid 2000s, pretty much since he retired as a player. He went straight to like working with us as community ambassador. Now his role changed. He was very much not a coach for a while and just kind of somebody who hung out and did events around town as a former player from Toronto and the NBA and stuff like that. And then he was like, okay, I would like to kind of do some coaching stuff. But you know what Jamal's role is very similar to Jim Sand. He's a practice coach. He's a big body. He's a big man coach. And basically in practice, he's there to scrimmage against our big men and have a big defensive presence for them to try and shoot against. So in some ways, he's a community ambassador who's in charge, involved with the city. He's not going to move from Toronto, so he's going to be here anyways. So it totally makes sense that he would just be involved because he's not really involved in the X's and O's. And if you ask anybody around the team, he is a good positive person to have around. So I'm sure he wasn't any of the problems with the toxic last year. So it's really kind of because he's from here. He's a former player in the NBA, and that has a lot of cred. And it may be that he shifts completely out of the coaching staff and he's just doing community relations for our team. Or the coach wants him to come down and be a big body in practice against Koloko to teach him how to shoot over an NBA sized player. Then that's why they have him, because he has the experience of how to be used in practice as a big body defender for our young players to learn to play against. That's one of his biggest great things about him is he's our big man in practice that the players get to play up against. And he knows what it takes in the NBA because of his career. So that's really what it is, Mike. He's a part of our community in Toronto because of being a Torontonian, and his value of being a former player and his history in the NBA is valuable also. And he isn't really a part of all the problems from last year. Well, he can stick around, and it may not be on the coaching staff. He may not be sitting on the bench. It may be he's like behind the scenes or standing in the wings with Masai and Bobby and Wayne Embry over there instead. We'll have to see, but he's going to definitely be a part of the Raptors family in some capacity. It may not be as a coach though. I think he's very valuable in that practice way that I just described, that he can really teach people like Koloko how to be a better big man in the league. And that's part of why he's good to have around, just like Jim Sand. It's that they're similar in that way. Shere Khan saying, good morning, Raptorfreak family. Checking in late today, got busy with work. The Nash interview news is weird, but I guess they are doing a broad search, so that's good. LeBron just said he may retire. Wow, finals, Joker equals fun. Yeah, things are changing real quick. LeBron gets swept out, and all of a sudden he doesn't want to play with Bronny. He's like, maybe I am ready to quit. Maybe he does feel tired. Maybe he does feel a little old at this point. I don't know. We'll have to see. This will be very interesting. I'll bet if he gets like a couple of weeks rest, he's going to be fine. He'll want to come back. This could be kind of like Tom Brady kind of bullshit. Tom Brady retires after the Super Bowl, and then he still comes back and he plays again one more year. So I don't believe LeBron. I think he will be playing next year. I don't think he's going to retire. And some of it is also he wants to get that nice square round 20-year number on his career. He's only played 19 seasons now. He needs to play 20 seasons at least. So I don't think he'll retire this summer. He may retire next summer. And who knows? He may go a little further because of Bronny and him coming in the league and him wanting to play with him. So I don't know. He may just be tired right now, and that's why he's saying that shit. I don't believe him. I think he won't retire. Watch. David's saying we need a better formula: points, rebounds, assists, minutes played, usage, and every free throw is worth half a point of something. Joel would be nowhere near the top of the list. Includes turnovers, and he's out of the league. ah, you're talking about how to figure out the MVP. Yeah, I don't know. They have no rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes it's not the best player that should be the MVP. It's not statistically the best player. They have different criteria year in year out, and it's not standard. And that's part of the problem with the MVP race. It's kind of like they just pick favorites. They really went by per and who had the best stats. It's obviously Jokic, and they should have just picked him for to be a three-time MVP. But the optics of that, in comparison to everybody else throughout the history, is not good. There's not many guys who have won 3 MVPs in a row. And that's part of the reason why they broke it up and gave it to Joel this year. They didn't want Jokic to have such a prominent place. Well, Jokic is going and taking it anyway. And if he wins this championship, well, they're going to allow him to get MVPs in the years to come and build on his legend even higher. So, yeah, I expect more Jokic MVPs in the years to come. The dude is just too all around good. The fact that he broke Wilt Chamberlain's record for triple doubles in a postseason, this postseason, is amazing. This has been an amazing year for breaking stuff like LeBron's record breaking Kareem's scoring record. And now Jokic is breaking Wilt Chamberlain records from like the 60s and 50s. That is insane. That is insane. This has been quite the year for breaking stuff. I'm telling you. Let's see. Mike's saying Masai hired Nick. Casey didn't really get him. So I'm thinking the video coach, et cetera, are chosen by Masai, and the head coach gets to chose the front. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think that like what happened. Remember in Tampa when everybody got coronavirus and Chris Finch took off, they elevated John Goodwillie, and that was Nick choosing to do that. I think that was a Nick choice. I think that the coaching stuff, a lot of it has to do with that head coach. They decide different things like that more than you think, and it's not necessarily Masai choosing all those kind of people. I don't know. This is tough. There's a lot of gray area here. There may be a little bit of both. You might be right, Mike. But I don't know if it's just as clearly as like front bench is all chosen by the coach and the back bench is chosen by Masai and Bobby. I don't think that it's that clear. I think that some of those guys on that back bench were definitely guys that Nick Nurse brought in. MSJ saying Delonte West for head coach. What? What? I mean, I know he's cleaned up his act, and I know he's not homeless anymore. But yeah, come on, really? Mike saying Nick, when hired as head coach, got Bjorngren, Handy, and Griffin. The next year, Handy left, and we got Chris Finch. Then Chris Finch left, and we got Gleason. I think Nick had to say on certain guys. Well, yeah, I mean, Gleason made it very clear that Nick asked him to come there, and that he came because of Nick Nurse. So, it is really that kind of way. Obviously, the friendship between Chris Finch and Nick Nurse was part of the reason why Chris Finch came here for that little brief period of time. So I don't know exactly how it all works, Mike, but we know that it does. All right, 90 minutes coming up. Let's get this done right now. Thanks for joining me today for Classic Jurassic Tuesday Trivia on Brendan Malone, the first ever head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Hope you learned something about him today. Just real quick, the referees for tonight are Scott Foster, John Goebel, and Courtney Kirkland in Game 4 of Boston at Miami Eastern Conference Finals. Scott Foster favors the Miami Heat. Meanwhile, Goebel and Kirkland are favoring the Boston Celtics. So we'll have to see if they can extend the series and stop the sweep. Maybe they'll have more luck than the Lakers did last night. We'll have to see. So happy to see Scotty back in Toronto and just good things happening in different places. They're going to start happening more for the Raptors. Watch. We're going to get some good news and everybody's going to get excited very, very soon. We'll see. All right. Thanks, guys, for the W's. And y'all have a great day. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. As is put to me yesterday, more comments mean good things for the algorithm. So just put something in the comments just for fun. You could write the nonsense or something, but apparently we put comments in there. I'll get put on more blast on YouTube. in their algorithm. So please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let's go. Wait a second. Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a second. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, you remember this guy? He's still around. Yeah, it's Justin Bieber. Hey, Justin, how you